Good morning. My name is William Carromero. I'm the National Botanist for the USDA Forest Service. And I'm going to introduce the next speaker, Laurie Adams, and here she is. Follow directions.
That's what I like. There you go. I am Laurie Davies Adams, and I hopefully have a slide presentation that is coming up here. So I will, but most of you already know Pollinator Partnership. Pollinator Partnership is the overarching organization that runs NAPPC. So P2, as we call ourselves, we are science-based, we are a nonprofit, we operate all over North America. We also have 30 other initiatives that are based in common sense conservation. We advocate for all 200,000 species of pollinators. We respect and we include native as well as introduced pollinators, wild as well as managed pollinators, and all of the biodiversity that pollinators support and represent. We are a big tent organization, and we include all stakeholders, just like all pollinators. And this NAPPC meeting represents all points of view. Pollinator issues can be as inclusive or as divisive as you choose to make them. We choose inclusive, and for very good reason. The biggest threat to our pollinators, our plants, our planet, is not just global warming, it's global bickering, which will only get worse as we experience the stresses of extreme climate conditions and of resource scarcity. How we work together and how we discuss issues is important. It's important to disagree, but it's more important to find the sweet spot on which we can agree. That's called progress. It's also the key to any success we can hope to achieve in the coming years. We can't entertain the fantasy that we can have a strong environment without a strong economy. We need both, and we can have both. And we need collaborations that rely on real science, on strategic and balanced, as well as passionate thinking. That is NAPPC. And that's what your participation today and tomorrow are fundamentally about. They're about our future. My talks usually talk about the things you've heard about today, which is the bad shape we find pollinators in wherever we look. But this talk is not about pollinators in the abstract. It's highlighting the connection between pollinators and human and planetary health. They are interconnected and they influence one another. Helping pollinators helps keep them all healthy. And as you know, pollinators are a critical factor in the reproduction of up to 95% of all flowering plants on Earth. This pollination, as we all know, results in 1 in every 3 bites of food. But what we need to remember is that the food that this brings to us is arguably the most nutrient-rich part of our diet. We talked about honey and the importance of honey. Well, arguably, it's a good product and it's an important product, and as a sweetener, honey is without question one of the most nutritious choices. Its glycemic index is slightly lower than table sugar, and it's a natural sweetener that's derived from the nectar of flowers and comprised of carbohydrates and water. It also contains amino acids, vitamins, minerals like calcium, copper, iron, magnesium, manganese, niacin, pantothenic acid, phosphorus, potassium, riboflavin, and zinc. But we all know honeybee products are just a part of the cornucopia brought to us by pollinators. There are 20,000 different phytonutrients in fruits and vegetables, and each has a unique role to play in our health. Here's an example: antioxidants. Of the top 10 antioxidant fruits, all 10 require pollination. There are many foods that provide an extensive range of micronutrients and vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and other phytochemicals. The ANDI score, A-N-D-I, stands for Aggregate Nutrient Density Index, and it highlights how dense these foods are in all of these nutrients. Pollinators support the top 10. Vitamin A, essential for healthy eye development, a healthy heart, lungs, and kidneys. Vitamin C helps with healing in the circulatory system. Research has shown that bee-pollinated red apples help prevent spikes in blood sugar through a variety of mechanisms triggered by apple polyphenols. The bottom line, diet and nutrition would be very, very sparse without pollinators. Vital nutrients and micronutrients would be lost to us without pollinators. There's another aspect of our human life that's enriched by pollinators, physical activity. We promote hikes and talks and walks to observe pollinators in action in gardens and in wild areas everywhere. All those wildflowers you see on the hikes in the spring, they're brought to you by the beetles and the flies and the bees and the pollinators that provide this, not just for us, but for all of nature. A recent study, a British study, shows the importance of time spent outside in nature. It stated that human well-being was advanced by a minimum of 2 hours of outdoor activity, preferably in nature, every week. P2 encourages the planting of pollinator gardens in nearly every landscape. Over 40,000 people a month come to our website, pollinator.org, to obtain the information from our planting guides, all 60 of them for the United States and for Canada. And gardening's a terrific physical activity. You can burn 400 to 600 calories, but you can be outside where you can breathe deeply. It's intergenerational, and you can escape from your everyday life and breathe free and experience a life free from chemical impacts. So, how does tending the garden help pollinators and the planet? It really depends on what you plant. Pollinator plantings provide ecosystem services like food and shelter for wildlife, erosion control, production of raw materials, carbon sequestration. A new climate study focused on the importance of planting trees to mitigate the effects of global warming and to increase carbon sequestration. 4 years ago, Pollinator Partnership sponsored research that discovered for the first time the critical role of pollinator-friendly trees during corn planting. And we advocate the planting of flowering, nectar-producing trees everywhere. In fact, it led to one of our posters, the Trees for Bees poster that was put in nurseries by American Hort all across the country. These plants and these trees do double duty. They increase carbon sequestration and they reduce the effects of global warming, but they also provide abundant food for pollinators. Now, trees are important to bees, but they're also important to people. In fact, seeking nature can have huge benefits to your health. A study out of Pennsylvania published in the journal Science found that patients healed faster after surgery and with lower infection rates when they had a view from their hospital room of a forest, a garden, or a natural landscape than those who faced the parking lot. This is deep within us. All of this is about you. But I don't want to just speak ill of parking lots. They're not all that bad. Here's a photo of the San Francisco Department of Motor Vehicles. You can see what a natural place this is, perfect for standing in line. But there is inspiration waiting to be discovered. If you take a moment to observe, you will see, tucked between the parked cars, little pockets of nature. Someone, somewhere, made the decision to put pollinator plantings in the Fulton Street DMV. And the bees showed up. And if you take a moment while you're waiting for your number to be called, you get a little touch of nature. P2's monarch wings across America has facilitated plenty of habitat in larger areas in just 4 years. We've trained 600 volunteers in 8 states to collect seeds for monarchs and bee habitat. And though we promised we would deliver 4,788 acres, which I thought was going to be miraculous, we in fact enrolled over 27,000 acres in 5-year contracts for habitat. Pollinators benefit, and we benefit whenever we seek nature, when we seek and make gardens, and when we get outside. It's good for your physical well-being and for your spirit. There is something in the industrious nature of the honeybee that moves the human spirit. The life cycle of the butterfly comforts and inspires us. Working to support pollinators brings unexpected benefits. Over 2 decades ago, when we were forming NAPPC, Simon Potts was forming the European Pollinator Initiative. It was 2002, and Great Britain polled its citizens about what made life worth living. Number 3 in the poll was birdsong. Birdsong. Simon took full advantage of this poll and explained to the EU that if they wanted to preserve birdsong, they had to preserve pollinators. And the European Pollinator Initiative was born, allowing pollinators to bring people together in a collaboration, much as we do in Pollinator Week. P2 and NAPPC collaborate on Pollinator Week, and we have made it global. And you heard earlier that all 50 governors participated, and that's a real achievement in a political climate that we're acting in right now. But we also had 375 events worldwide during that week in Asia, Africa, Europe, South, Central, and North America. Pollinators are important to our health and our well-being. They provide for us, and now we need to provide for them. We need to do pollinator habitat everywhere, in natural areas, farms and ranches, parks, homes, corporate landscapes, schools, places of worship, transportation rights of way, utility corridors, and more. This is the time to address your own well-being and to address and heal the health of the planet as well. There is urgency to this pursuit. There's a positive connection between the actions of people, pollinators, plants, and the planet. They are circular in their benefits. I urge you to use your time at NAPPC this year, planting seeds of great ideas, foraging for connections, and seeing it all flower throughout the year. Working together has never been more critical. We at Pollinator Partnership are here to support you in your quest for health, for pollinators, for plants, and for the planet. And we believe that the bees and the butterflies can lead the way for all of us. Thank you.